Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be reviewing the Takesi Geisha Wash Process Bolivia from Coffee Collective. And there's the bag right there. And Coffee Collective, based out of Copenhagen in Denmark. This is my third time reviewing one of their coffees on this channel. And even with a pretty extensive history with Coffee Collective, I've actually never tried one of their higher end offerings. So when I saw this on their website and I saw it was a wash process geisha, I knew I had to purchase it. It's my favorite type of coffee. It's a lot of people's favorite type of coffee. And I kind of wanted to give a reaction to this coffee, see if it would live up to the expectations, because up to this point, I have not been blown away by Coffee Collective, and I knew this was if I was ever going to judge them based off of coffee, it was going to be a coffee like this. So let me get the details out of the way. They do have a brew guide on their website, 15.625 to 1 water to coffee ratio at, they say, 92 to 95 degrees Celsius, which is 197 to 203 degrees Fahrenheit. So I brewed it at the higher temperature, 203. This is a Nordic Light for the roast profile, and it was brewed through the Chemex. Out of the way, let's start discussing this coffee. This right here is day 20. All right. So the first day I tried this was day 8, and I should know better. I shouldn't have tried it on day 8. All I got was this kind of herbal and vegetal taste to it with some very slight fruits at the end. With these super light coffees, you definitely should be waiting to drink them. You shouldn't even be finishing this bag of coffee on day 20. If anything, maybe you should be starting this bag of coffee on day 20, but I can be a little eager at times, so lesson learned, especially on day 8. After that, I let the bag sit for 8 more days, revisited on day 16, and infinitely better. Still a little herbal, kind of cools off into some soft and delicate florals with some slight citrus as well. I mean, this is going to be a delicate cup of coffee, very delicate cup of coffee. Day 17, delicate and complex as you'd imagine, herbal components still present. When warmer, it cools off into a little bit more of a lime-like taste. Then it has this kind of floral sweetness, honey sweetness, candy sweetness, complex sweetness. It's a very complex, beautiful sweetness that comes at the end of this cup of coffee. It's my favorite part of this coffee. That sweetness is divine. And then day 18, I mean, I'm just blown away by this coffee at this point. It's insanely beautiful. So many similarities to the Tim Wendelbo Honduras washed geisha that finished second place last year as my second favorite coffee of the entire year. It's a little bit more similar to that, and it has, you know, the slight herbals, a little bit more body than a Panamanian geisha. Soft orange components towards the end, of course. Lovely yet complex and delicate sweetness in this cup of coffee. It's still there in day 20, and I'm curious as to how this coffee would have been after waiting a couple more days, but it's 120 grams that comes in this bag of coffee, so I was only going to get to try it a couple of times. Very limited offering, but spectacular nonetheless. All right, let me go ahead and put up the tasting wheel so you can see what I was getting. And the tasting wheel, of course, looks like the way you would imagine a tasting wheel for a wash process geisha to look. Cleanliness, florals, super high. Citrus fruit, really high. Body, super low. Sweetness, you know, it could have been a level 4, but when I look at this tasting wheel, I think this is a perfect description of the way that this coffee tasted for me. I mean, everything looks pretty much in line with how this coffee is for me anyway. All right, let me give you my thoughts on this coffee. I don't think it will come as a surprise to anybody the way I've discussed this and the type of coffee that this is my, as of right now, my favorite coffee of 2021. It's everything I had hoped, expected, and it still surpassed my expectations for this, and I finally hit the mark with Coffee Collective on something that I think is truly exceptional and just genuinely spectacular. I should compare this right across the board with that Tim Wendelbo, because it's the coffee that's probably the most similar to it. And I think I like this coffee slightly better, and it's probably because I had more opportunities to try it. I only had that Tim Wendelbo from the Advent calendar last year, so I only had one sample of it. Whereas with this coffee, I was able to try it at least for 5 days, even if I did try it a little early for one of those days. But I was able to pick out a little more, and I was able to enjoy this coffee a little more with some more time to sit down and kind of think about it, focus on it. And yeah, truly exceptional. Definitely hit the mark for me. And yeah, I don't really know what more to say about this coffee. They did an amazing job. Super spectacular. I think I'm going to leave it at that, though. I'm curious if you were fortunate enough to get to try this coffee. If you agree with me, if it's one of your favorite coffees of the year, I mean, it's one of my favorite coffees ever. They really knocked it out of the park on this one. I also love hearing people's opinions on Coffee Collective, so if you have any thoughts, impressions of Coffee Collective, let me know that as well. If you're enjoying the content, give this video a like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a review of the Takesi Geisha Wash Process Bolivia from Coffee Collective. Thank you for watching.